Welcome back into Lowcountry Money Talk. We are tackling some tough topics today as we watch market volatility really put us at unease when we're talking about our financial stability. But I've got good news for you who are watching because Phil Bloyd is here. He is helping us navigate this as we really unroll with all kinds of issues happening overseas, global conflicts. So thanks for sticking with us.
I'm here. We're going to take care of it today.
I like it. So we have you covered. Obviously, a question that comes to mind as we do deal with global conflicts and everything that we're seeing in the news right now is what is this causing from an economic standpoint? Sure. Is this really temporary economic volatility? Or are we looking at the long haul here in terms of downturns?
Yeah.
And, you know, we're watching in the news, we're hearing about all these sanctions. We're seeing companies literally pulling out by the day of doing business in Russia.
Right.
All of this plays a role, and we need to know what that means for us.
Sure. Well, the thing we have to realize, some of the companies may have big exposure over there, some of them may not. But if they're losing profits, you know, that's going to affect their stock report, their quarterly report. And, you know, when it comes down to it, we look at the profitability of companies to decide if we want to buy their stock or not, right?
Right.
So we'll have an effect there. You also look at the oil, you know, we had issues with energy before. And I think when all the smoke clears from what's going on over there and the media distracted over there, we still have a lot of economic issues here, and we had them before. We had increasing energy prices, we had supply chain, all that still going on. I think the problem might be, though, is if we see this pattern of energy cost, where we're having to pay more for energy, that could lead us into recessionary. A lot of times it does. So, you know, if we just talk about, hey, you know, an average family, and I have all this money to spend right now, they're like, well, I can't buy anything because of supply chain. Well, as we start putting more of our savings and our income into energy prices, then we've got less discretionary funds. So then the consumers stop spending and they hold it back. And when that happens, you know, the companies, maybe they needed 10 employees, they don't need them anymore. And then we could get more into recessionary things. So if we have 2 quarters of negative gross domestic product in a row, that's considered a recessionary.
Wow.
And coming into this first quarter of the year, most economists are saying we're about 2% or less. We were 7 in the fourth quarter of last year. So we're going from 7 to 2. And once all this energy prices and all that works its way through the system, maybe the next quarter, the second quarter, we could have some issues there with that working its way through.
Yeah, and you know, long term here, we're really talking about the consumer and how they're handling their money. Let's, you know, dive a little bit deeper on the business side of things. You know, for example, one of the most well-known brands in the world, McDonald's, is on the list of folks who have pulled out of doing business in Russia. So walk us through a little bit about what that looks like for them, how that really causes this spike in prices, and of course, obviously, the lower not only demand for the product, but also the stock prices.
A lot of things. So there's things that come out of that region, like wheat. I think McDonald's probably maybe uses some wheat in their bread and stuff. But I think there's going to be 2 problems there. One, if a company is not doing business in that region, they're not going to have the profits from that region. So that's one problem. The second problem is the producer's price index. This is what companies pay for product to make things or whatever. So if the cost goes up, then that retailer, that restaurant, whatever it may be, they have to pass that price on. So we're looking at lower profits because these companies aren't doing business in that region anymore. And also we're looking at higher costs because of inflation. Inflation just came out the other day at 7.9. So it went from 7.5 to 7.9. And I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. So all of these things we have to deal with, and these are going to make these companies that have been profitable, it's going to cause them some issues. So is that stock value going to hold up, you know?
Yeah, and you know what this means for your specific portfolio is something that Phil and his team can help you with. So if you're interested in really diving into your specifics, they do a risk assessment, a portfolio analysis. So for viewers who are watching with assets of $500,000 or more, this might be a good fit for you to just explore. Sure. So Phil, we have lots more questions. Right. Lots happening around the globe, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here and how it affects your money. We'll be right back.